Okay, so in lieu of our Splunk integration slide, we decided to do a live demonstration of how to integrate Splunk. So one of the things that we had to do beforehand is that we have to go through our settings, data input. I'm sorry, that's for the wrong version. So I'm using Splunk Cloud. So we had to go down and to add data. So for my data source, we had the option to either monitor from file imports on Splunk platform interface or upload the files from my computer. Because our code saves the outputs into CSV files, we're gonna upload from the computer. We're gonna select the file, navigate to our project. So our folder that we have our Fusion outputs in is our Fusion outputs folder under metrics. And once you run the Fusion outputs all the way through, it'll make a 10K Fusion, a 20K, and a 50K, as well as a global Fusion. For this demonstration, we're going to use the 20K because for the Cloud Enterprise Splunk Edition, there's a limit of 500 megabytes, and the global Fusion is around 504 megabytes, so I cannot give a demonstration on that.
Why would you do that?
So the reason why we decided to integrate it onto Splunk is because we wanted to see where everything was categorized as, and to be able to actually see the results instead of being able to like just visualize it. Well, to see it instead of looking at just visuals to make sure that everything is accurate, we want to actually go through the logs and be able to see like, okay, how was this mapped? How was this categorized? And everything like that. So now that we see the files upload successfully, we're going to select our source type. So as we can see here, in this demonstration, we can see that our CIC predicted baselines, while Fusion and our honeypots predicted that it was credential access. So our NIST brief is basically just like a brief, our MITRE brief basically gives like a brief explanation, which is credential access T110, while our detail gives like different types of attacks. It can be either brute force, password guessing, password cracking, or password spraying, or credential stuffing. So our NIST brief is basically to protect it, while our detailed explanation is to either access control or data security. So we also gave it a risk category of medium, which is basically which we pre-outlined in the code, a risk score which is calculated, as well as a severity score that's also calculated. So there are different ones. However, because of the large amount of P0F files outputs, which is basically our honeypot that's used to keep track of the attacker's fingerprints, there's going to be a lot that's defined as baseline. So for Splunk, also we had to set an index, and for our index, we're going to use a preset one called Fusion Project. And then now that we reviewed that, we're done. So we're going to hit submit, and we're going to wait for the file to upload.
Eric, one of the families.
This is taking a while because it's a very large file.
He's so severely injured, he can't. And he's not mad about it, but he's sad sometimes.
He's been through a life, and he's come through smiling. Warriors like Eric need to know that we won't leave them behind. Our donors help us provide life-changing programs and services at no cost to warriors.
Processing the
Please call
file.
online with your gift of $19 a month And we'll send you this blanket honoring the 200.
Awesome. So I'm here. Now that we can start searching for the information.
The sacrifice that, of Hamilton.
So we're gonna wait here.
That means so much, because this is never over.
All the donors.
So one of the things that we can see just by looking here is that we can see that a more detailed, a more fitting description of our logs. So like for here we can see that CIC position was baseline, fuse label baseline, honeypot baseline. This is more than likely a POF log because one of the things that happened over the span of 1 minute is that we'll get like hundreds of logs from the POF files. As you can see here, there'll be 100,000 events in less than a minute.
Investigators question everything he's told them about.
So as we go through, we can see different ones. For this one, this is denial of service. Again, the CIC will predict denial of service. The fusing label will predict CIC will predict baseline. Fusing label will predict the denial of service, and the honeypot will predict the denial of service as well. We can see the description of the MITRE B. We can see the values that make up majority of the events, which baseline and the match accounts for around 618,928, which is around 75%. The impact of the denial of service accounts for around 194,998, which is around 23%. Renaissance accounts for 5,000 events. This amounts to less than 1%, and the rest account for very small events. One might be ranging between 99 to 100, 200. Okay, we can also see a more detailed description of our honeypot. Which again, our honeypot predictions, we've sorted it down to 6 different categories based on the honeypots that are actually getting attacked and what type of attacks are being mostly done. So, for example, we noted that our POF honeypot was getting attacked or blocking a lot more events than more of our other honeypots. So, in order to fix that, we actually implemented smoke in order to basically boost the other honeypots values more, give us more synthetic values to boost the events, because no matter what we would do, if we tried to implement a cap, there'll still be way more POS files being attacked on the honeypot than let's say malware, where the malware would get like maybe 100 attacks in a span of 2 hours, while the POS will get close to millions of attacks in a span of 10 minutes.
We'll work this out. And Roland seemed to be satisfied with that
And
answer.
that's pretty much it. We can also view like different patterns based on the sample of 9,000 events. We can see that 67% out of the 9,000 makes up baseline, and 32% makes up the denial of service, which pretty much tracks between our honeypot stats. And that's pretty much it.
However, we could not find
Thank
one
you
person
for
who
watching the
knew
video.
anything negative about Woodford. We spoke with both of his